5 months ago, I made a video about aim training in CS2, and then a month ago, I found out about the very best map that you can use to aim train in CS2, and my god, I wish that I knew about it earlier so I could have included it in that video, but I didn't know about it, so now I get to come back and I get to yap to you about the very best map you can use to aim train in CS2. Now before I divulge to you the secrets about this amazing aim training map, a word from the sponsor, SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a trusted automated CS2 trading site. It's super easy to use. All you have to do is pick something in your inventory, check how much it's worth, and then go get something new from the monkey. What's also super nice is the filters you can use to narrow down your searches. You can either use your skins to trade for new ones or deposit money with their 30% bonus offer. This becomes 35% when you use my code Wilson. Please use it. Using my code, you can also get up to $5 for free. Use my code Wilson, link is in the description. Now the map that I'm talking about is called Aim Trini. It's here in the workshop. If you go to the visit workshop button down here, you can go find it by looking it up within the workshop. It's also down in the description. I have a link to it down there. The biggest advantage to this map in my mind is that it is right here in CS2. I've tried aim labs, I haven't tried Kovacs, but the biggest problem for me when I tried aim labs is that it didn't feel like CS2. It felt like CS2 adjacent. There was kind of a similar feeling to the aiming and shooting in it, but it's not CS2. Nothing can replicate the same feeling of CS2 as CS2, right? For me, it's best to do aim training within the actual game of CS2, which is why I prefer this over aim labs or over Kovacs. Now at first glance, the map is super bare bones. That's okay. Because of this menu, you have ways of configuring different drills, different practice routines, and I'm gonna show you a bunch of them that I like to do so that you can add them to your routine. Now the very first thing I do when I jump in this map is I make the size of the targets 10 and I add 3 targets. So we have 3 total. I'll sit around here in the middle, and this is where I start slow, right? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And I go target by target, and I'm gonna do about 300 of these. You can see the counter up here. So I start slow, and then I'll speed up, speed up, speed up until I'm feeling very comfortable. And once I get to 300, that's when we move on to the next thing. The next drill I like to do is focusing on precision and micro adjustments. So to do this, I'm gonna go 1 target, I'm gonna go size 1, and then within the area, I'm going to restrict it to 5x5. I'm gonna back up until I hit this little ledge here, and I'm just gonna tap at these tiny little targets and try to be fully accurate. Now these are tricky because they're tiny, but a lot of the fights you take in this game, this is the size of people's heads, right? When you're at distance, you're not gonna be aiming at a very large target, so it's important to be able to click on these tiny little dots. I'll typically try to do about 50 to 100 of these. I don't linger on it for too long, but I think they're really worth doing. Once you're done with the precision targets, it's time to move on to tracking, which is where I can introduce you to level 2. So there are 2 levels. This is the first one with the flat wall. Level 2 puts you in this 360 arena where you have a lot more options. So in here, to do the tracking exercise, I'm gonna restrict it to 90 degrees, 5 targets, and I'm gonna make them size 5, that's fine. And then we're gonna turn moving targets on, horizontal. And so what's gonna happen here is that you click all 5 and then boom, now you can start tracking, click, flick, track, click. I missed, track, click. Tracking in CS2 isn't talked about all too much, but dude, I swear the more you practice tracking, the smoother your aim feels. Like you just feel better at the game. And when I'm missing shots like those, I know that I'm gonna have a bad day because when your tracking's on point, it feels like your shots are just gonna be on point. While CS is thought of as like a flick, flick and shoot type game, practice your tracking. It is so helpful. Now let's talk about flicking. So to do a good flick exercise, you're gonna make sure your arena is on all, otherwise you can't go to the cross mode. So we're gonna go to the cross mode, make sure shoot middle is on, 1 health, size 4 is typically pretty good for me, maybe a bit smaller, maybe a bit bigger, depends on how you feel. And remember, all of these, you can switch them up, change it depending on the difficulty. Like you can even step further back to make the difficulty harder. You don't want these to be too easy, right? You want them to be somewhat challenging. So we're gonna start with the spawn orientation only on horizontal. And this is just gonna practice side to side flicks, right? So we're gonna start in the middle, shoot, flick out, click, back to the middle, flick, right? You get the point. These are great. So I'll do those for a while, not a certain number. I just enjoy doing it. So I'll do it for a while until I feel like, okay, let's move on to random. And then this is going to introduce, let's see if it does it. Boom. It's going to introduce vertical and diagonal. So if you have, if you're very comfortable within this range, this should typically be like your wrist range. You flick your wrist to the left, you flick your wrist to the right. That should be about your scope, your locked in. You should hit those shots, right? So these are very important to practice because you need to be able to hit these shots that are within your range. Now let's practice some sprays, some bursts, get that, 4 bullet drag down feeling really good. So to do this, we're going to go to level 2. We're going to make sure targets is on 8 or 9. We're going to make the size nice and big. We can do 10, we can do 9, we can do 8, depending on how difficult we want it to be. I'm going to change the horizontal speed to 20. I'm going to make the area 180 perfect. That means that they're going to spawn within 180 degrees of me. And we're going to make the health 4. That means that it's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 shots to kill a target, right? So I'm gonna get rid of these targets and show you what it looks like. So this is what it's gonna look like. You're gonna have these moving targets and you're gonna have to track them and spray 4 bullets into them and then flick to the next one. So this is where we're kind of putting some of the stuff together, right? So when you're doing it, you're starting to feel pretty good. You're getting the shots pretty nicely. Make them smaller. Once they're smaller, oh man, this gets way more difficult, right? And then you can even increase the movement speed. So again, cater these exercises to the difficulty that you'd like them to be at, and increasingly challenge yourself. Don't let yourself absent-mindedly go through these easy peasy, right? Make them challenging. That's how you're going to improve. In the end, the drills that I've given you should be a starting point. Get creative with this. Play around with it. It's such a cool tool for you to use and to work on your crisp, clean aim. And also, don't solely rely on this. You should still jump into aimbots, work on your movement, work on your counter strafing, work on your peeking, play some DM. This is purely to focus on your aim, which is only part of winning gunfights, right? If you're looking for drills within aimbots or within CS stats, check out my aim video if you haven't seen it. Thank you for watching this one. Remember, challenge yourself, increase the difficulty, make yourself improve. Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my channel members who are scrolling on by. They help me and they support this channel and allow me to be a goober on the internet. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day, and good luck and have fun in all your future games.